Hi, Kevin at Ledoux Guitars. Several months ago, this guitar came in, brought in by the brother-in-law of the owner. This is my J53 model. This is a 17-inch jumbo. The guitar resided somewhere in the southwestern United States, a nicely dry climate, unfortunately for the guitar, but even less fortunately for the brother-in-law. Um, the guitar was found uh, in the owner's RV, and the owner was found in there with it, having been dead for several days, apparently. Um, Enough of that macabre stuff. The instrument is here to be refurbished, and it's in really terrible condition. The the top is cracked right down the center. It's got another crack here, another one over here. The pickguard was mostly peeled off when I got it. the the bridge, even from the dryness and the climate, I don't know if you can see that, but the bridge has cracked badly, and the guitar is physically, it wasn't abused, but the guitar is relatively filthy. Um, got a couple of small, very minor cracks in the back. We've got some finish peeling off, some wear here. This looks like constant capo use at the first or second fret. Um, and it's dirty inside and out. So I'm going to refurbish this, and I thought I'd start a video series, just maybe following along some of the steps on that, something that you may be interested in seeing. And I don't know, maybe there's some stuff you can get out of this in a tutorial sort of way. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the neck off this thing and get the top off. Internal examination with a mirror and a light and so on has made it very clear, plus the warpage in the top. I'm not going to try and reflatten and refurbish this. I'm going to yank this top out of here and put a whole new top in it. I don't think any repair work is going to be very permanent on this, so we're just going to go back to square two, so to speak, and see if we can work our way forward. Well, I've removed the neck already. That didn't take very long. And I'm going to get this top off here. I'm doing this with this binding router that I made several years ago. I've just adjusted it so that it's going to reach in and go around and just cut that top off there. And there it is. I'm not very ceremonial about this stuff. There's no reason to be prayerful or anything of the kind. We're just going to do the work. Well, that top came off without ceremony, as I promised. Um, Pretty quick operation, but I thought maybe I'd take an opportunity to do a tour around the inside of the top and the inside of the guitar to see what could be learned from that. Well, the first thing that I noticed when I pulled this top out of here was I looked at this bridge patch. This happens to be Indian rosewood. This is, by the way, a spruce top, spruce bracing. Um, but I looked at the length of this bridge patch, and I immediately began to question my own behavior here in the past. Um, I also looked at this X angle, which I just measured. This X angle turns out to be 78 degrees, and I'm thinking that that is open way too wide. It probably should be down several degrees. This guitar was quite bass heavy, and that would account for some of that. The other thing that I'm seeing, which indicated to me that maybe this should be closed down, I don't know if it shows up on the camera very well. I can't seem to get it in there, but there's quite a bit of bowing to the bridge patch here in the back. And that leads me to believe that maybe this upper tone bar should have been up here a lot closer to try and minimize some of that. I didn't recheck the thickness of the bridge patch, but it appears to be 100 thousandths of an inch or thereabouts. So I don't think that has much to do with it. But I think the guitar could have been physically stronger and still had wonderful tone um, had I narrowed that X up, stiffen it up a little bit to give it more physical strength. And when it was built, it was patched. This was new construction. This was not old or repair work. So, uh, you know, it underwent some stress, but I think the dryness of the conditions in the Southwest had a great deal to do with the failure of the guitar as well. And the owner, as I said, he didn't abuse it, but I don't think he really knew all that much about taking care of it. And I doubt that he read the owner's manual that I put out with every one of these. Um, let's look inside the back here. First of all, I don't know if this shows up very well on camera or not, but this is black walnut. And it should be just as nicely brown and toasty as the outside of the instrument. And it's not. You can see a terrible gray cast in here, only part of which I can remove with my finger. And it's just filthy inside. Um, in that regard, the guitar was not well taken care of. But here's the thing that captured my interest the most. Down here, uh, right at the joint in the back, you can see the finish is pulling away and it's peeling. And that was alarming. There's really no reason that that should happen. And sure enough, as I look inside, maybe you can see in here, I'm seeing a little bit of discoloration right in this area right here. And if you can see it inside the rim there, there's some discoloration on both sides of that tail block. And that tells me that if the owner attempted to humidify the guitar, he may have dripped water down in there. And fortunately, it didn't cause any of the joints to come apart, but it looks like water got down in there while the guitar was standing. And that was certainly not a good thing. Other than that, it's not in bad shape in here. The bracing is still good and solid, but of course it's filthy. And to be honest, it's got kind of a bad odor, if you know what I mean. So there's our first step. The next thing that will happen is I'm going to put this thing in a mold to get it nice and stable, and I'll re-level, or I should say redome, all of the surface in preparation for a new top. I don't recall what the radius on this top was. I'll have to look it up in my records, and I'll be selecting some new spruce for the top. So there's the beginning. I don't know how long this video series is going to be, nor do I know how long it's going to take to actually complete the series. But stay tuned, and maybe you'll get some enjoyment out of the whole deal. Thanks. This is Kevin Ledoux at Ledoux Guitars. Please put a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks. See you again.